Hello, guys, and welcome back to the NT Podcast. I'm your host, Starcast707.
Along with the captain of TBZ on Nitro type, it's your boy Tendons. I don't know why I had to make that so cringe, but hey, we're out here doing our first official episode. So, you want to kind of introduce things a little bit, Dark?
Well, today we have a special guest known as Rusty. He's a political topic commentary, and I'm just gonna give the floor to him now.
Yeah, so you'll be able to find me on Twitter, a bunch of alternative platforms, Gab, Storyfire, and other such things. I do focus on Storyfire content. Not much anymore. I took a little bit of a break. So now I'm on TikTok discussing political topics, events, and just informing the world on kind of what's going on. I give my own takes on things, give my opinions, and so on and so forth. On Storyfire, there are plenty of things to talk about. One of them being that Storyfire has recently introduced new devs. So we've been getting new features,
Yeah.
that being the critic feature and different bug fixes and good stuff like that. According to them, we will also be receiving Blaze Cash Out or some sort of crypto version of it. So the future of Storyfire is uncertain, and I would like to just discuss that on today's podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you, man. Well, I definitely like the fact that, I don't know, you can obviously explain the impact of it, but to me, it seems like a good way to allow more people on the platform the new critic features. So I'm interested in actually trying to get onto Storyfire for videos because I would like to kind of be able to expand on other platforms myself.
I'll
Yeah,
upvote you.
so
I'll upvote you, Tendons.
Thanks,
I'll,
Brian.
I'll do the
Appreciate you.
same. Just shoot me a message, okay?
Appreciate you guys.
So jumping into the critic feature, actually, now that you talk about it, I do agree. I think it was an amazing feature to introduce. I think bringing the community into it really helped. There were some downsides, there are some good sides, and overall horrendous sides to it, and we'll get into that. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Pretty
um,
much. Pretty much.
but I got video, and that was awesome. My community like upvoted it to shit in about 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, and I got video. I only have two videos up at the moment. I'm taking a little bit of break, as I mentioned earlier, and yeah, I introduced the idea of a blaze wall, and what I mean by that, in for the audience listening, blaze is the currency in Storyfire that allows everyone um, to basically
Donate.
transact. It's a store of value basically, except for there's very little value to it. Like people just tip each other, and hey, I like your content, so they send blaze to each other. Um, anyways, where was I? I lost my train of thought, but
You were talking about the critic feature.
the critic, yes, the blaze wall.
Yeah.
Okay, there we are. The blaze wall was a theory that I introduced, that if we increase the blaze wall, or the amount of blaze you need to become a critic to have a vote in things, then we would get more quality content, right? Because if we have everyone getting in at a 5K blaze wall, then there's no content that won't get through, basically. I mean, we've seen pornography
Yeah.
get through, we've seen hentai get through, we've seen content like Jesse Donald.
Oh yeah, Jesse
This
Donald.
Jesse Donald is a guy that obviously has some unique characteristics, we'll say, and he's clearly mentally underdeveloped, which, in his videos, he kind of says the same words over and over, and he's like, hey guys, hey guys, hey Storyfire, stuff like that. And that's the kind of content that has gone through, and it's unfortunate because we have video creators like myself, another one named Dildo, which is not spelled the way you think it is,
Yeah.
and your therapist, other large creators.
Dotator.
Yeah, Dotator. Dotator actually got video before before the critic feature was released.
Oh yeah, and so did Dill.
Yeah, Dill also got it beforehand, which was surprising because I didn't think McJuggernuggets or Jesse, the head of Storyfire or the CEO, would be even open to that. Because before the critic feature, I just assumed that he just really wasn't fond of us. And we can get a little more into that later because there's some deep lore in the Storyfire kind of story here. Over the last 2 years, there has been so much going on. I mean, we almost shut down the entire platform, and then a guy that goes by the alias Deck Chair came in and saved the platform with his funding. But yeah, I mean, lots of stuff going on with the critic feature. Unfortunately, they haven't implemented the Blaze wall, but they did increase the vote, so I'm hoping that will maintain the quality of videos on the platform.
I mean, speaking about the critic
Funny.
feature, like you were saying earlier, I feel like the first day, like a lot of people that got video and that they shouldn't have gotten video, like I'm surprised because I got video the first day of the critic feature, and then there's like not like too many good like content in the critic feature at the moment.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, and I wish people would just take a moment to increase the quality in their videos. I'm not arguing that my videos are top tier, right? I mean, I'm not a tech guy. I don't know how to make my videos the absolute to the utmost quality, right? But
You're right.
at the same time, like people who upload to the critic feature, it's unbelievable the amount of quality. It's so low to the point where I've seen kids in their room with Christmas lights on the wall. They've got their lights turned off and they just have a blurry camera. And I'm like, okay, first step, turn your lights on. Second step, get a better camera. Third step, like, and I think he was on the floor, maybe. I don't know. It was just such a strange video to behold. and I was just sitting there like, what the fuck, dude? And I'm pretty sure he got green lighted.
Yeah.
So it's like switched. I mean, before you had like maybe the standard was a bit high, and now it's like way too low. So it's kind of like maybe we need a bit of balance between the two.
That's exactly right, and that's why I as well of as a user named Sonoda brought about the idea of the Blaze wall, because at the end of the day, if you have Blaze, that means you're invested in the platform. That doesn't necessarily mean you bought any of Blaze, because you can buy Blaze, but I have over 600,000 Blaze. I'm on the top leaderboards. My audience is highly supportive, and that shows that I'm active on the site. It shows that people give a damn about me, and it shows that I know what I'm doing, and that means that I can be trusted, or more than likely can be trusted with a feature such as the critic feature. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, it's unfair to increase the Blaze wall," and my answer is, you can get Blaze. No one's stopping you from working hard and accumulating that amount of Blaze. I was just thinking a 20 to 30k Blaze wall, right? And it's not even a third of how much I have.
I would say like 25K would be all right.
Yeah, that's what, somewhere in between, maybe. Yeah, something like that.
So I just
Anything.
want to. Oh, sorry. I just want to make sure I'm clear. So you're saying you would have to have 25k Blaze at least to vote on content, and that's what the wall would be?
Yes. So
Okay.
anyone can upload videos, and I think anyone should be able to upload videos. But the problem I have is when it's like in America. In America, we have voter ID laws, and people, a random guy that came from Germany that isn't a U.S. citizen isn't able to vote, obviously, because he doesn't have any skin in the game. He's not living in our country, so he doesn't have a say on what goes on in our country. And it's the same thing with the Blaze wall that I'm thinking about. And And I just don't want random ass people voting, essentially, because that's where we are right now. And
Yeah, because
and we need improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand like what you are saying with that. Definitely, like I mean, I completely agree. Like someone that just found Storyfire for the first time, or someone that's like on there once a year, shouldn't be able to have the same influence as someone who is heavily invested in the platform and actually wants to see good content getting approved. Like that totally makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
because like say for example like a group of trolls like come together and then upvote like a user to just to like upload like NSFW like stuff in the apps in the website. That's not good.
Yeah, and
exactly. That's
trolls
already
will approve
happened
that. Yeah.
before.
Right.
That's already happened before. We've had
Joe
someone
Gatto.
upload, and yeah, it was featured on Storyfire. So new users jump on the platform and they see. I'm going to be family friendly here. They
Nah,
see
nah, you
a
can say you can
a
just say it.
pickle go into a piece of meat. We'll say
A cucumber. Yeah, yeah. I get what you're going for
a
here.
big slab of meat go into.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the whole thing with the Blaze Wall and the critic feature. I think there's a lot of improvements to be made. Um, and then the other thing is moderation, right? So with moderation, we've been having issues for years. We had a user, OG user back in the day that went by the tag Irish Coffee,
Oh,
right?
Irish coffee,
And
yeah.
and here's the lore, right? Not everybody new to the platform, or even people who have been on the platform, know about Irish Coffee. He was one of the first guys to point out, like,
The
the
mistakes.
mods are having issues. Like, this is a problem. They're power hungry. They delete whatever they want, and basically they're fragile. And at the time, I thought it was annoying because he posted very consistently about it. He made memes about it almost every single day of every hour, it felt like. So I was like, okay, yeah, I get the criticism, but, I kind of shrugged it off. Fast forward a few years, and we're getting users, and this was recent. We got two of our well-known users banned. So
Yeah.
two users that have been on the platform for a while, um, by the name of Nutty Rick Roll and Chris. Both of them just outright banned without warning.
Last
And
week, right? Wasn't it like last week? I
I,
saw
I
that.
believe so. Yeah, it was last week. And that was part of my breaking point because for those who are watching, I actually did announce that I was leaving Storyfire. Not necessarily permanently, because if they improve things, I would love to jump back on. I love the community, but it really pisses me off that they felt like they could abuse that kind of moderation privileges to take down trusted members of the community. All they needed to do was send a warning and say, "Hey, take this down." And even then, I think they should be able to post whatever the hell they want, so long it's in
Doesn't break
it fits
TOS.
within the guidelines. Yeah, exactly.
So did they so they didn't post anything crazy. It was just like the mods didn't like it. Or
Okay, so here's a little bit of background here, because one of the users had a Nazi flag profile picture, and that I kind of get. I would have still given them a warning. I would have said, "Hey, take that down, or we're going to delete your account," right? Because he's gained a bunch of followers. Everyone knew him in the community. They took him down. So I kind of shrugged my shoulders and I was like, man, I wish they gave him a warning, but I kind of get it. But the other guy, he posted a meme. He posted a meme and got taken down.
Yeah.
and it wasn't anything crazy. It was just like a
No, no, not at all. It wasn't
uh,
against TOS at all. It was a guy spinning a hot dog in between his fingers. So it was
Oh,
literally.
I know the
Have you
video
seen
you're
that
referring.
meme?
Yeah, I know the video you're referring to with Swift and
Yeah.
the
Yeah, my
situation.
theory is that Swift, aka one of the elites on Storyfire, that's what I call them because they can't be touched. Jesse gave him moderation, and
You got
I
blocked.
I assume that. Sorry, what?
He blocked you, right?
Oh yeah, on
On
Twitter
Twitter,
he
yeah, I
blocked
saw
me.
that. I saw
Yeah,
that. That was pretty funny.
I actually made a tweet saying like I wear this as a badge of honor, man. Like this is something I'm gonna remember till the day I die because it was so funny, dude. He made a post basically saying, um, long live Storyfire. Storyfire is amazing. Blah blah blah. Storyfire is never gonna die. And I'm like, well, no, you're the one killing it. And he blocked me for that. Uh, it's just funny. There's so many levels of corruption, um, but we can get into that. And we could also talk about unless you guys have anything else to say about the critic feature and the moderation.
I mean, I definitely understand your perspective as far as the critic feature being implemented goes. I mean, it makes total sense to me. Like, you just want to see a balance, and yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying with mods as well. Like, obviously, someone posting a meme shouldn't just be getting their account deleted. I mean, it's because the crazy thing to me is like Storyfire started off as it's like, oh, this is an alternative to YouTube that's less restrictive and has more opportunity for monetization, and then it ends up like if things like that are happening, I feel like it's like, well, you're like, why would somebody use Storyfire instead of just using YouTube then, where at least somewhat the rules are established? Like, yeah, I can definitely see your point. If people are doing stuff like that, it's just hurting the website as a whole, I'm sure.
Well, you're entirely right. I mean, what's the appeal to a platform that number one isn't YouTube? It doesn't have the name recognition. It doesn't have the user base. It doesn't have the quality content en masse. So why go there if it's not any more free? And there's nothing to go, hey, Storyfire is pretty cool. I like the features that they have. It's similar to Twitter, but also similar to YouTube, and they have a story section, hence the name Storyfire. Um, so
Yeah.
they have a bunch of cool features that I love, but I couldn't bring myself to continue posting on just such a horrific platform. And by that, I don't mean to be rude, but the the decision making, and I'm going to go a little bit more into moderation here because
Moderation is
me,
corrupt.
yes, because myself and Sonoda, another prominent user on the platform, Sonoda is a OG user. I myself am a newer user, believe it or not. 2 years. He's been on for 7 years. Um, and we came together. We brought the OGs together and the newcomers from the marketing push, and we said, you know what, things need to change. We ran for moderator, and Jesse said, hey, we're looking for mods. He made it clear that that was happening. So we came together and we ran for moderation. The entire community, and I mean like literally
Everyone.
40, 50, hundreds of people just commenting on videos saying like Rusty for mod, Sonoda for mod. And we came together with the partnership and said, we're done with this shit. And guess how we were repaid? McJuggernuggets makes a post soon after saying, "Oh, we have undercover mods now," and we weren't told anything about this. And our entire message, me and Sonoda, we were talking about how there needs to be transparency. There needs to be accountability for posts being taken down because that's not right. People can't just live in fear for and being banned for a meme without even a warning. I mean, it's just so authoritarian. It's beyond me. And it just felt like a slap in the face. We were advocating for these things, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna get the Gestapo in here, and we're gonna just ruin the." To me, it seemed like me and Sonoda were the last hope for the platform. We were trying to turn it around in the right direction, and then they said, "Okay, well, now we have undercover moderators," and to me, that's just insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, totally understand. You feel like you're being blindsided by things, right? And then, yeah, posts are just disappearing and they're not doing anything to fix your concerns or I guess ease them even.
Only mods, in my opinion, that I like on Storyfire, cause I don't post on it much, cause I don't post like social posts much, because I'm not like I check on it like every day, but I don't post on it because I don't have many subs on it. I think I have like 49 or 40 ish around there. But a good the only mods that I like would say like I have one in mind which would be Poogle Hall.
Yeah, Poogle Hall's pretty cool. Behind the scenes, I've heard things, but um, he's the best of them, I would say, for now.
I used to like Kevin
Um,
Mosca, but knowing what
yeah,
he's
after what
done,
happened, do you want to get into that?
I
Because
mean,
I actually,
sure.
that's an entire topic that we can talk about. The lore runs deep, and I got fucking backstabbed. Okay, that's what happened. Um, okay, so what happened was I made a post. Uh, the community deemed it unpopular, and I was basically persecuted for this. Everyone was going after me, everyone was attacking me. So my buddy, okay, remember this, he's my homie, or was my homie, Kevin Masca, the one of the mods on the team. He starts slandering me. He goes after my credibility. He calls me transphobic, homophobic, every name you could call me. And then I reach out to him in DMs to sort things out because I'm freaking out. I'm like, dude, why are you? And by the way, he has huge influence. So everyone thought I was a hateful person or whatever, man. So I confront him in DMs. He never responded. So what I do is I get into Twitter because we have a group chat. Kevin happened to be in that chat, and I say, I'm making a story exposing this because what he was doing was he was slandering my name. He was attacking my character and my credibility, which is important as a commentator because people take my word a lot of the time. If I rather people research, but a lot of people take my word for what I say. So I find it incredibly distasteful to just go after me. And it's just, it was really nasty. And it showed me a side of him that I hadn't really seen before. And he was more of a sheep in, a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's what he
Yeah,
was.
a wolf in sheep's clothing. I think that's how the saying goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to reverse that. Sorry, I'm speaking fast.
Good, bro.
Anyways, so the story continues with him deleting my posts. I was trying to make it clear. I was trying to provide context in his comment section because everyone was pissed off. And I was like, okay, here's what happened. Here was my opinion. And here is why Kevin is just lying through his teeth.
Didn't he
And
ban you?
he was deleting those posts, and he banned me from his comment section. And he just did that over and over because if you didn't know, you can get on his next post, right? So if he makes a new post, you can comment on it. So when you get banned, you only get banned from one post.
Oh, I didn't know
So he
that.
just does that over and over and over again. So I just get pissed off and I say, I'm not taking this. Okay, the community respects me and they respect you, and I'm going to make sure that one of us by the end of this is exposed for the freaking loser he is. And so what happened was I went on Twitter, in the Twitter chat. I said, I'm dropping a story tomorrow morning. No, it might have been night. I'm dropping a story explaining everything. So I immediately start writing things down. And then Kevin, of course, he reaches out to me because he knows damn well that if I drop this story, his credibility will
Go
go
down.
way down, and he will be exposed for the narcissist and liar he is. And he was very worried about this. I mean, he reached out to me. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I got heated." Hey, man, that's not what you do to your friends when you're heated. Like, I'm sorry, you don't do that. Um,
Yeah, for real. Like
so,
that's
so,
fucked up, man.
so he wanted to get to me through Discord and have a conversation about it. And I'm like, okay, you know what? First, I'm taking a bunch of screenshots because I am not letting you
Yeah, he
live
might
this
delete on
down.
me. Yeah, he might delete
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Discord
I took a
messages.
bunch of screenshots. I wrote down a bunch of notes. I wrote like 3 paragraphs of notes. And then I got on a call with him, and we can talk about this call more in depth if you like.
Yeah, sure,
But
go ahead.
just to get Yeah, no, I can. So basically, he came in and kind of he was kind of sucking my dick to a certain extent, right? Because he knows that if I drop the story, it's over. And so what he did was he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got heated. I have someone in my family that's transgender, and na 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 na." And then I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm sorry, but especially in my sphere, the commentary community, there's consequences to your actions. Like, I'm sorry, dude." And it wasn't one of those things where I was like, I'm taking him down. That was part of it because I was pissed off, but I also wanted to defend myself because he was deleting comments and no one saw my perspective, and I knew if I dropped it, everyone would see it. So we're in this call, and he's talking to me like I'm a child, like talking down on me and saying, "Ah, no, 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 like you're taking this too far, and let's just end the drama here." And I'm like, "No, dude, no, I'm not doing that. Like, what's your problem?" Like, I'm still pissed off from it, because again, he was my homie. He backstabbed me. And the story is actually called the character assassination of Rustivian.
I'll have that link in the description, by the way, guys, if you guys want to check that out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. We'll have links to stuff for you. Oh yeah, for sure. We'll have that in a pinned comment and all too. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I highly recommend it because
It
I
was a good
literally wrote
story.
13, I believe it was 13, maybe 12 paragraphs of me just going at him, exposing him, and going into detail as to why he was a manipulative fuck. And I just couldn't understand it because before then we had many good interactions. We were cool, man. We've had literally 3 hour conversations, so we have a history. And then I get heated in the call. I'm like, I was pissed off. I was yelling at him. And then he goes after my age. I'm obviously a younger person. Well, I'm not going to say obviously. Some people with my voice, they think I'm like 30 or something. I'm not. I'm like, I'm under 20, we'll say.
You're under 20? Dang, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So anyways, he went after my age to discredit me. He's like, "Oh, well, I'm 20 I'm 27 and you're whatever." And I'm like, "Dude, you're making no sense right now." And I actually got really pissed off. I insulted him. I'm like, "Okay, if I'm younger than you and you're such a wise man, why did you go after me and why are you losing?" Why
Yeah, well,
why
exactly.
are
Like
you
it means
making
nothing.
yourself
Yeah.
look like a clown? If I'm so much younger and inexperienced and stupid, then why did you act like this? And he got pissed off. He got angry. He disconnected from the call. We had a few other people in the call that were just kind of mind boggled. They're like, "What the fuck?" Because they had no idea what was going on. Dotator and Dildo, they were in the call. They were like, "Holy shit, dude! Like, that's crazy." I had one of my buddies, Aquatic, defend me. He was one of the only people to defend me before I released the story, and then afterwards, I was like, okay, I got right on it. I stayed up all night fabricating and the story, and I made sure my words were very clear, and I made sure that I was correct on everything. I do my
Your research.
I do my research. I do my damnedest to make sure that what I'm saying is correct. And what happened is the next day I released it. It's all right. I just got a spam call. Holy shit.
You're good, bro. It
It,
happens,
ha-
man.
it happens, yeah.
So where was I? I dropped the story, and what essentially happens is it just blows up. Everyone's freaking out. They're adding Kevin Maska in the comment section of my story. People are saying like, "Holy crap! I'm sorry." People were apologizing to me because they didn't realize how much of a liar he was. They were completely on Kevin's side. They thought I was a terrible person, but they read the story and the truth comes out, and then Kevin deletes his posts. He goes into hiding. He says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about all this. Oh, no, 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 no." And he pretends like he's this kind, loving guy because for those who don't know, that's his brand. He considers himself a motivational speaker, and and he makes videos trying to uplift people. He's like, okay, and he made a video of, here's a few ways to identify toxic traits in a person. So the community loved this guy. And then he just lied straight to their faces. He tried to discredit and slander me, and defame me, essentially. And then here's where it gets good. Okay, here's where it gets good because it's not over. I'm telling you, on Storyfire, people don't get it, man. It's like the rabbit hole runs so deep that it's crazy.
So many stuff.
It's crazy because after this, maybe 20 minutes after, Kevin says he got swatted. And for those who don't know what swatting is, it's when people call the SWAT team or the police and say, "Hey, there is a situation where people are in danger," and then they go over to the target's house and they harass them, and sometimes it ends up in death. So this is a very serious thing. I was accused of swatting him at the time.
I didn't know you got.
He
got swatted supposedly.
Yeah, so I'll get more into that, but what had happened is he said, "Oh, thanks, Rusty. I just got swatted," and he was being passive aggressive. He was freaking out, and in my mind, I was like, "Okay, you're bullshitting. Like, what is the? Can you imagine the timing on this? Where I drop a story and like 30 minutes after you get swatted? Like, are you kidding me? Like, no one's gonna buy this," and no one did for a while, but then he clears it up on Twitter. He says, and I guess it was just bad timing. The call came in from Ohio. I'm not in Ohio. And apparently his dad swatted him, like his own dad.
What?
Wait a minute. Yeah.
I mean, so he's just got, this explains why he's such a narcissist and manipulative freak. It's because his dad is so fucked up that he literally swats his own son.
Yeah.
That's
like
that's
where we are, and that's kind of where it ended. Everything kind of slowed down, and he said, "I'm taking a break." He made like 3 posts saying he's taking a break because he can't get enough of the fucking attention he gets.
Yeah, I bet. Oh yeah, he wants people to like.
And recently he came back.
As soon as you left,
he came
right?
back to Storyfire.
Like a couple days you left, he came back.
Yeah, no, that's actually I don't know if it's I don't know if it's just a coincidence or not. It very well could be, but as soon as I left Storyfire for the time being, he came back like the day after. So I'm wondering if he's just scared of me going after him again.
In the day after, yeah, it's a little suspicious. He probably was just waiting. And that's like the whole thing's just so messed up. It's like he wanted to call you out when he felt like he could bury you, and then as soon as you had something to prove against him, he was like, "Oh, well, now we can just be mature about this." Like, "Oh, come on!" Like, it's just BS. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing just sounds like it was just a lot of BS from him.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because, as I mentioned earlier in the story, I reached out to him. I was the first guy to reach out to him. I was like, "Hey, let's sort this out. Why are you calling me these things? Why are you defaming me, or at least attempting to? Like, what's the reason, man?" And he never responded. So to me, it's on him,
Well, yeah, I would say. I mean, based on that, at least what I know, I mean, it sounds like, yeah. I mean, you even gave him the chance to like exactly respond. And I mean, I know what you mean. Like, I've had that happen a while ago where someone tried to do that to me in the community, just kind of blindside you by trying to call you out and then not even like respond when you are like, "Yo, what's going on here?" And then like if you come back at them, then all of a sudden it becomes a big deal, and it's like, bro, come on. Just be mature
Right.
in the first place.
Exactly. And we were cool, man. Like I had no, and that's a big misconception in the Storyfire community. Some people allege that I'm somehow a drama starter and that I start drama and then I talk about it and then I have content. Like, no, that's not what I do. I just get an abundance of drama because retards, for lack of a better word, just go out there and they look for it. That's not my problem. You know what I mean? Like when something happens, I have the duty as a commentator to alert my audience and give my opinion. So that's what I do. And it's not to attack anyone, although I did take a little bit of pleasure in discrediting his claims that I was somehow hateful, transphobic, whatever, because it's just bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, when someone like tries to screw you over like that, I mean, yeah, I don't blame you if you have a little bit of joy in in getting your revenge on them, or at least just
defending yourself,
exposing the truth. Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, because that's what it was. Like you literally were just trying to, like, I'm sure you wouldn't have come and called him out if he didn't go and force you to in the first place. And it's funny when people that have their own like baggage, their own skeletons, whatever you want to call it, like they try to call out everyone else, and then it just makes them end up looking 10 times worse because the other person just gets forced to expose them. That kind of stuff is just really funny to me. I don't know, man. It just that's what it sounds like. Like he had a lot of stuff going on that was already like issues that he was trying to hide and stuff, and then he wanted to call you out, but this is where it got him, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate because it didn't have to end that way, you know. And then the thing that makes me even more pissed off is that people on the internet just forget things in 2 seconds, because as soon as he came back, he received a ton of support, and I mean a ton. And there was a few negative comments that he deleted, by the way. But he got overwhelming support, and I was just surprised. I was looking at him like, so you're telling me y'all just forgot? Y'all just forgot that this guy is a snake?
That's the internet, man. I know. Their attention span's like 3 seconds. Literally. I mean, that's like, I mean, it's the same thing in our community. Like anything that comes up drama-wise, it goes on for like a day, and then people just move on to the next like BS that's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of depends with the drama on Storyfire, because there was a time where the dramas lasted like a day or two, but now they last so much longer because there's the amount of drama is decreasing on Storyfire, I would say, but it's getting more explosive. And what I mean by that is it really affects people when it happens. Like,
especially the one, sorry for cutting you off, but especially the one with Roger. I don't know much. All I know is that he's like a 30-year-old man dating like an autistic girl or something like that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about Roger.
Okay, Roger. Roger is kind of like the meme villain of Storyfire, right? He's been around for as long as I can remember. He was originally with this seemingly autistic girl that we believe is underage on Storyfire, and that at the beginning, Carissa was just like sending out a bunch of crying emojis on the social feed, and just like every single hour it felt like, and adding Roger, and then Roger was making weird cryptic posts, and I don't know if we have any images of him, but there was images of him with a like a piece of dirt on his head. It was really strange. The whole, and he just kept making accounts because he kept getting banned. He kept riling the community up, and the drama just kept resurfacing, you know. And the community just got sick of it at a certain point. Carissa, I believe, left. Roger's trying to move past this on his new account. He's saying, you know, I'm being, yeah, he is. And he's trying to get past this. He actually got video access, which is just crazy to me. And that just shows the problem with the critic But moving on,
Yeah.
he recently made videos with so their voice calls with Carissa, which is the autistic 14, 15 something year old girl. Her mother was on the phone with Roger, I guess. I didn't fully watch it, so I can't say what exactly was going on, but it's just a freaking weird situation. Anything that has to do with underage children, like it's just not something I like looking at personally, because it's just kind of makes me sick with the power dynamic of a
Yes.
fucking yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if that's true that a 30-year-old is dating a 15-year-old, then I really
No,
hope
I think he's like
police are getting
50.
involved.
It's fucking weird.
Whatever like is going on here, like this seems like outside of this is like outside of, oh, this is drama and story. But this is like the police need to get involved if this is true. I mean, obviously I don't know anything about the situation, so just for the record, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but what I am saying is if that is the case, then obviously that needs to be immediately like handled for real, because that's not even
People
like,
have already contacted law enforcement. They just can't do anything because there's no overt evidence.
oh man,
Unfortunately.
that just, oh my god, that's disgusting. Like, it's just why? Like, how are you? I don't know, man. As a grown man, like I myself am 20 years old, and I can't even understand it. Like, I wouldn't want to talk to a girl that wasn't at least 18, because, like, I don't know. I feel like that's just normal. You attract to people that are around your age, but I guess these people have truly like something mentally ill, or they just don't. I don't know, have normal human behavior, I guess. Because to
Yeah,
me, it's just so horrifying. Like I just don't even understand it, to be honest with you.
yeah. The dude's defective in the head. I'll tell you that much. But yeah. So that's Roger. I mean, he's been making new accounts for, I would say, about a year now, maybe. You know, just over and over. I believe his original account was named Love Boost, which makes it even weirder.
Oh God.
Man.
So yeah,
I guess he's the EDP of Storyfire. You say he's the meme villain, but
he is the
now he sounds like,
EDP.
Yeah, the EDP
Yes,
of
the EDP.
Storyfire.
that's what it really sounds like to me. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Oh my god.
And
I
then we
really
also
hope-
have this guy, Philip Chandler,
Hmm.
who faked suicide and then pretended to be his dad or mom, and
Oh, I see where you're
and
going with this.
and so everyone called him out because it was obviously bullshit. Because the account said, "My son is literally dead on the ground" or something like that, and I'm like,
Oh my God.
okay, so as a parent, your first instinct would to get on Storyfire and say, "What have you guys done?" Like, that's your first parently
Yeah.
instinct.
Yeah. It
Oh
should
my
be
god.
to call the ambulance or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well,
911.
like it's not like he said, "Oh, Storyfire made me do this. Make sure that you post it on there before I end my life." Like, who would even like? Yeah, exactly. How would that situation come up where your first instinct is to hop onto your son's computer and then leave a post on his account and that you forced him to? Like, how would she even know that that was what had happened?
Who knows, dude? I mean, that's the thing. This guy is seeking the attention, and he said as much, actually, and I'll get into it. So, from the time he said what he said about his suicide and whatever, he's been causing issues on and off again, on and off again. Recently, he's been trying to get me and like 5 other people banned for quote unquote harassment and bullying, and how we've been going after him for no reason. And so, and that's never happened, obviously. We actually asked him, we reached out to him in direct messages, and we said, "Hey, like, where's the evidence? Show me the evidence, and then I would be pleased to get banned. You know, take the ban hammer to my forehead and take me out, bro. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You have literally no evidence suggesting that, you know, we have done anything wrong." But that guy also reached out to another commentator by the name of Warrior, I believe that, yeah, Warrior. And he said that he literally just does it for attention. So he's literally doing this because he wants dopamine. Like, I guess that's what it is. I don't know what it is, because it feels like there's something more to that, right? Because he's deleting comments. He Aquatic, buddy of mine, commentary buddy of mine, from Australia. He made a post ratioing him with like 7 likes, and that's a lot on a Storyfire post, especially for a guy that is pretty much irrelevant, like this Chandler guy. The reason I think he does this is because he's fallen out of relevancy. That's what I think. I think this guy is just desperate for that little drop of attention. And I never understood that, because back when the marketing push was going on in 2020, when the site was extremely active, I was huge at that time. Like, I was getting 50 likes per post, 50 relights, which is basically a retweet on Twitter. So I was getting a ton of attention, doing a lot of things. And then, a few months after, I lost that support because Storyfire just wasn't booming. I was making posts as I normally did, and now I get just about the same amount of engagement as I did when there were more users. So the point is, I just don't think it's necessary to go out of your way to piss people off and try to get them banned when you can just do the work, Just do the work, be consistent, have something to offer to your community or your audience, and have a good head on your shoulders, right? Don't be a dick.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand. Like, these methods of growing, like being toxic, definitely is not going to get you very far. No, I mean, you're just going to have, because I think I saw a video, it was called like, I think it's like the toxic life of a full-time streamer or something, but it kind of was basically talking about how, like, if you encourage toxicity in your fan base, or you build an audience with that, like, eventually, if you ever try to change, they're just going to turn on you, and then you've just built a fan base of people who want to see someone getting like roasted, somebody being toxic. And if you're not always willing to be that way, then you just have an audience of people that are going to turn on you immediately, because you're not building up like a loyal fan base that wants to see you succeed. They just want to see other people getting torn down. So that kind of approach, definitely, like the cloud chasing, it might in the short term work, but yeah, absolutely, someone like that who's just trying to get people like you banned for attention, doing what he does, like, it's never going to get him very far. And I think the whole idea of like trivializing suicide and like, oh, I'm just going to use this to get attention, like, it's just my daily, it's just on the agenda calendar, like like, that's like really messed up to me, because mental health is such a real issue for people. Like, for someone like him to do that, like, to me, that's really wrong, to
Well,
seek
it's
attention that way.
disgusting to manipulate someone's emotions to believe that a dude just offed himself because of other users. Like, imagine if I didn't think things through and I was just, I don't know, some fucking kid, and I was like, oh my God, I just killed I just inadvertently killed someone on the, like, I would get shivers down my back and just turn the phone off. Like, you would have to live with that until, you grow up and go, hey, that was a little shady,
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying too. Like, I mean, because if for one, like, his fans, or his, people that he claims are, people he cares about, are probably like upset about, like, if they really thought that happened. But yeah, it's true too. If someone thought that they were responsible for contributing to something like that, I mean, they would feel absolutely terrible. And then, of course, the person didn't really do anything to themselves at all. So yeah, I mean, that's a really good point as well. Overall, the manipulation with that is absolutely terrible. Yeah,
I
I
have
can't
very
imagine.
little sympathy for anyone who does something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think I think it's evil would be the word.
Yeah.
I don't like using that word for everything, but I think that's evil.
I mean,
Yeah.
pretending to kill yourself or being toxic won't get you far at all.
Well, especially not pretending to know. But that also happened in our community.
Yeah,
Dark, I don't know if you remember
yeah.
about that, but there was someone that was a very prominent player who actually pretended to be a girl catfished the community and then pretended like that they offed themselves and then came back as themselves later on. And I just can't even imagine like how that thought came into their head, but it was the same thing. Like later on, that guy he was trying to he would trash talk me in the main Nitro type server, like and use my name to try to get like clout for himself. Because basically he would only get like responses in there if he would like say something about me specifically. And what ended up happening is like I had to like call him out for that and be like, bro, like what are you doing? And like it was clear to me like that kind of behavior didn't leave him, the attention seeking, because then he was doing something else. And it's the same guy that pretended to be a girl and, and did all that stuff. So I guess people have a pattern of behavior, and you can kind of recognize that if they're not willing to make a change. And it seems like that this guy on Storyfire is kind of the same way. Like he's made mistakes already and he's not learning anything from them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, and there's another thing about him. I totally forgot. This is actually a new development. So there was a parody account made by Chris. I mentioned him earlier because his original account got banned, but there was a parody account made by Fours Philip Chandler. So there was a dot at the end of the name, but it was very similar, and he had a similar profile picture and everything. And Philip Chandler, the guy who previously said he pretended to commit suicide and all of these things, he said that Chris hacked him. He's like, hey, this guy hacked me. And it's like, no, he didn't it's a parody account. How brain dead do you need to be? And it gets to the point where you're like, there's no helping this situation, because I don't even think I publicly commented on the Philip Chandler situation. What I did was comment on his posts, just kind of memeing on him. Unfortunately, a lot of that was deleted because he's a pussy and he can't take it, which is funny because he puts himself into these situations so often. Maybe he just enjoys the hate.
It's a lol cow. That's what they are known as, like the people that just keep on like setting themselves up and then playing the victim card once they get called out for it.
Yeah, and another thing, this is completely off topic, but another thing is, I think in the society we live in today, that this is happening very frequently with the attention seeking and the I guess the ADHD of people in society right now, because they're scrolling through TikToks and they're going, okay, that one's boring. They watch another one for 5 seconds. They scroll, and they go, okay, every 2 seconds I'm going to scroll. So they have zero attention span. And what they do is when they're in any other situation, including real life, as well as, any other social platform, they need constant attention. They need constant dopamine. And that's a big problem with our society in general. I think we're doing a severe disservice to our children. I think when I'm a bit older and I have kids, I'm not letting my kids anywhere near a fucking device, like a mobile device. Although I will, once they're older, but having their brain just develop as I don't know, they almost develop with the algorithm of YouTube or these other sites, and it's terrifying. You never know what they're looking at, first of all, and it's just destroying their thought process. And I'm sure other people can relate, but when you're on TikTok and when you're on YouTube doing all these things, your brain gets foggy and you can't think. Like, I'm not even kidding. I think it's highly, highly damaging to the youth, especially.
A lot of people are spoiled. A lot of people are spoiled these days.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Because I know I didn't get a phone until like my sophomore year of high school, and it wasn't like, oh, I couldn't have one. Like it was before I could have gotten one for Christmas, but I was always like, well, I don't need one necessarily, and I don't really care much. And I think for me, like it actually really did help me to, as you know, a young, like when I was a child, right, like to develop without a device in front of me all the time, because I actually had to imagine things and grow up like, you know, a kid would. Like you use your imagination, you do things that like a kid has to do, and you know, you socialize in school like face to face. You don't like just sit there like on your phone texting people, you know, and you actually like build those socialization skills. And yeah, I definitely agree. Like I think YouTube and TikTok and they all love it because they know parents will raise their kids with the algorithm that they have on there, like the YouTube Kids app and all that stuff. And basically, they know those kids are like 12 hours a day of free views because the parents will put them in front of an iPad for 12 hours a day instead of actually engaging with their kid or wanting to do anything. Because that's the interesting thing. Like, there's definitely the algorithm makes a lot of children seek that instant gratification, I think, but I think it also has led to parents like not wanting to even raise their own kids. Like they're not even bothering to be like, no, like you're not going to spend 12 hours a day on, you know, my iPad. We're actually going to like do something and I'm actually going to, you know, bond with you. All right. Like parents also need to be willing to make a change so that their kids are not growing up to be the next parents that are going to do that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think parenting needs to be exactly that. It needs to
Yeah,
be
it really
parenting,
does.
like because the algorithm can raise your kids, but it
It
will
sh-
make them look
it shouldn't.
very.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't at all. And unfortunately, I'm similar to you, right? So I didn't have a phone until I was like, I don't know, maybe 14, 15, something like that. And I think that really helped, but also I was still raised, and I think this even goes for teenagers. I was still raised on the internet. Me and my parents, we don't really have these emotional discussions. We don't talk about things much. It's just kind of like, hey, we exist together in this house, you know. And I think we need to get more into communication, community, and you know, just normal things that 50 years ago people wouldn't even think about, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
And
being
then the
closer.
metaverse. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but the metaverse. Can you imagine what will happen when Mark Zuckerberg owns your entire virtual world, where you will
Yeah.
just be sucked in? And then imagine you're walking around in the metaverse, right? Maybe you're going to get a metaverse ice cream or a smoothie, and then an ad pops up saying, "Do you want Zuck ketchup or something like that?" I don't know.
Oh my God, Zuck ketchup.
Because have you seen that meme? But he like hands you. Anyways, doesn't matter. Point is, I mean, we're heading down a path technologically that we won't be able to understand. We still don't, as human beings, we can't process all the information properly that we are getting introduced to. I think I do all right at processing information. And, you know, I think that serves good purpose when it comes to my TikTok videos. As I mentioned earlier, I talk about politics and stuff. And I think that really helps. Not, and this is completely off topic as well, but I think people need to get into politics because that goes hand in hand with technology and all of that good stuff. And it's just important to be aware of things, right? Because too many people go through life not knowing what's going on.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
for
I
sure.
mean, the metaverse, that scared me a little bit because I'm like, it seems like the perfect time for that to swoop in when, you know, people are already getting locked in their homes. It's like, oh, well, you're staying at home anyway. You might as well do this. And then once
It's
things get
all
lifted,
planned.
oh, we just stay at home because we're already in the metaverse. And I'm like, yeah, we're really gonna let someone like the Zuck have more control over our lives? Like, let's think about who we're giving control over our lives to here for just 1 second here. This is the literal, like, you know, I mean, the man that was manipulating people with like his Facebook, what was it? He was like, I'm trying to remember exactly what he did, but there was a whole big experiment that they ran on
The
like 100
robot.
million of their users to test their emotions. But they would make it like, so they were faking like responses and stuff from like people that you were friends with and like doing something to misguide you to like test how humans responded to different triggers emotionally. And like they were just running a human experiment on their user base. So I'm like, if they did that when you're just on Facebook, what do you think they're going to do to you in their virtual world, man? I don't know. I'm not going to be joining up in the metaverse. I am
Not
okay on
touching
that.
it. I am not
Yeah.
touching it. And
Yeah,
here's
me neither.
here's some optimism real quick, right? Because there's a lot of pessimism here. We've got global, the new world order, as Alex Jones says. And honestly, people say Alex Jones is crazy, but he's been right about a ton of things.
Agree.
But I'm not going to touch it. And the optimistic part about this is people who are free thinkers and able to kind of see through this stuff, they're not going to be in the metaverse, right? So in the real world, we're going to have hard workers. We're going to have people who think. And in the fake world, the virtual metaverse, we're going to have a bunch of useless people just sitting around in their bedrooms, So I rather share a society in the real world with intelligent people than, idiots. And the idiots we won't even see. They'll just be in their little pod walking around in the metaverse, So that's the positive part because sometimes I think about it a lot, and it's true that a lot of people just do exactly what their authority tells them. Like some people in school, from when they're little children, they're told, you need to do this or else. You need to do this or else. You need to, for example, you need to take a vaccination or else. And I think people should be able to. People shouldn't be forced to. I think people should just think, dude, because
think for themselves.
Because no one's thinking.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, I definitely agree. I don't mean to cut you off. The one thing I just want to say is I think there's too much of, especially like, I mean, I'm not going to get into politics or anything, but certain people, certain political parties like to say, oh, well, there's a time and place where you don't question things. You don't want to think for yourself. You just go along with things because we have to. And I really hate that when people try to make it out that like you're wrong for questioning it or that you're trying to be like, it's because it's like there doesn't have to be something there to even look for, but if there is, I want to at least know that I took the chance to think about it and didn't just leave things to be what they were and just assume that things were right. Like I should at least have the chance to think.
And the worst part is that the cult followers go after you too. If you're thinking for yourself, then you're a target, right? Because they feel like, okay, I follow the authority, and anyone else that questions it, I should go after them because they're forcing me to, therefore everyone else should, right? Because that's kind of what happens with masks. That's what I think flight attendants do. They're like, okay, I'm forced to wear a mask, so I'm going to make everyone else do it. That's what I think it is. Instead of caring about people's freedoms to do whatever they want within reason, of course we have laws and everything, but within reason, people should, especially in the U.S., be able to do whatever they feel necessary to protect themselves or not protect themselves.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that as well. I think, it's definitely, I think it's a very slippery slope when we start to tell people what they can and can't do in that regard, because, I just feel like the government, I feel like they're always looking for a way in to our lives more to have more control. So I feel like anything, like any allowance you give them is like, it's a big risk.
yeah,
Because if you let them tell
There's
you.
too many people that trust the government, right? There's been plenty of instances in history, right? So the big one is obviously the Holocaust, and then in the U.S., the Tuskegee experiments, and all of these things. And obviously in China, under Mao, people were starving. So people put way too much trust in government, and I think especially the American government, people put too much trust in because we've been flourishing and happy and comforted for so long, and fat, by the way, for so long that we've gone to a point where we don't question the government, which is scary because the entire reason, I think, I'm not saying this for a fact. I'm just saying, like, all of this, I believe, is planned. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Because as you said, it's all too convenient with the metaverse, and I think you know what I think they didn't plan for the internet. I don't think they planned for the internet because
there's
with the internet,
yeah.
They lost control over the plebeians. They lost control over civilians who want to free think because there was a time where there were only a few cable stations where, you listen to Fox News or CNN, but now you can go outside of that and you can figure out what is trustworthy and what is not.
That's why big tech censors a lot of people that don't agree with them.
Exactly.
That's
They're trying to restrict access from people so they can homogenize the entire ecosystem. They're trying to go back to what they had. And that's why YouTube props up CNN. Like, you look at CNN and you're like, oh, they're a thing of the past, right? With cable, they're getting like 100K views or live views per I guess stream or whatever you want to say. But the reason for that is because they're in a bunch of airports, they're in hotels, so everyone's just kind of passively listening. And that's not a lot. Like, certain channels on YouTube get a hell of a lot more than that. But but on YouTube, CNN is propped up. CNN's propped up, so they have hundreds of millions of views on YouTube, and that's because it's recommended instantly when people join the.
They're always like that kind of stuff. That is definitely something I agree with. Like, these big cable networks and such are trying to make it look like they still have influence by paying YouTube to put them on the homepage when you first sign up or when you're not logged into an account, and then all you see is like the Tonight Show and literally like big news stations, and that's it.
If you look at the statistics, like if the dislike button got removed, right?
Yeah, that's pretty stupid.
Yeah, so
I hate
there's
the
an
fact that they did that.
there's an extension that you can get to like bring back the dislike button, and for some like news videos, they have like a lot of dislikes than more than likes.
Yeah, that's always been like, and I know, are you gonna get? I think you're gonna get to a point that, I'll let you say, but I think I know what you're gonna say here. But
You
go
can
ahead.
say it. You can say it.
Are you getting to the point that YouTube removed dislikes because these big companies didn't want people seeing like how poor of a response they're getting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and I think that is part of it, is that like the companies that are paying YouTube the most are the ones that are getting like ratioed by YouTube's own rating system. And this is something I said on my other channel, my silver one. I talked about them removing the dislike button a little bit. And I really think a big part of it also is the fact that they want YouTube to be more like TikTok, in the sense that like TikTok, you don't see a dislike button. All you can do is like the post. And YouTube Shorts, it already doesn't have a dislike counter. They already didn't have it on there. So if you don't see that a content's disliked, you won't leave the content and go searching out for new content. You'll just waste your time watching that. You'll have to watch the whole video, and then you'll realize, oh, well, this is a crappy video, but it's too late. You couldn't see it because there's no dislikes. And then now you have to go on and watch another video. And basically, I think part of it is it like allows all content. Like, there's no such thing as bad content. And now the algorithm can reward people who are making crappy content, and that's what YouTube wants, because that's what TikTok allows for. And everybody wants to have the dream that, oh, if I make my random YouTube videos that have terrible quality, I could still blow up, because that's how the algorithm is.
Yeah.
And the dislike button, that stands in the way of that algorithm. Like, more people will post videos if they think they have a shot, but in reality, the algorithm's just going to chew them up and spit them out and move on to the next person.
Yeah.
That's really what I think about that.
You pretty much
Yeah,
summed up.
no, I agree.
You pretty much summed up what I was about to get to. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay, I got you, man. Yeah, but I do agree also with the point of like big companies don't want people realizing like how poor of a response their videos generally get, and like usually like especially like news stations, they get like terrible ratings. They'll get like double the dislikes that they get of likes and such.
Well, it's because they're completely antithetical to the vision of both America and the people of America. And of course, it's not just America. We've got Australians, Canadians. We got everybody disliking these people because they just lie blatantly. They mischaracterize things, take things out of context, and their user base, or I guess audience, just kind of gets fed or spoon fed this propaganda that makes literally no sense. And now that the dislike is gone, now they can do that with impunity. Now no one's going to realize that, hey, like, people aren't actually responding well to this. Because that's the thing. Humans tend to flock with the herd, right? They tend to join in on the group. The most popular of takes, right? And if they see 100,000 dislikes, then they're going to go, oh yeah, this is garbage. This is obviously not correct. But when they remove dislikes, then all content is created equal. And that's another thing. That's another thing. All content is not created equal. Like there's animal abuse literally on YouTube. So if the dislike doesn't show up, then there's no way that someone would know. You know what I mean? If there's no rating system, then what's the point of it all?
Yeah, you have to go down and read the comments and hope that, there's going to be a top comment that tells you to avoid the video in time. And then, it's too late. You already had it playing. And, yeah, you've already given them a view now. And that is what it is. And exactly, like, they're trying to make it so there is no bad content anymore. And it's like, for me, like, what motivation do I have then as a content creator? Like, because I've made, mini documentaries about both Nitro Type and even other games. It's like, what would be the point of making that if nobody can see the fact that one of those videos has 300 likes and 1 dislike, because now you're just going to hide it anyway. So why not, as a creator, just make content that'll get easy views and not worry about it, So it's like they're really not thinking about the fact that it's supposed to be YouTube. It's just Tube now. It's just another TV, it's just another big corporate thing. There's no like...
I remember a few years ago, there was a problem regarding Spider-Man and Elsa. Okay,
oh my God.
There was some
kids
let's say adult content on YouTube.
Oh, I know what that was.
And I mean, it was really messed up because it was directed towards kids, and the thumbnails were all sparkly, and there was colors, so kids clicked on it. And it was actually just this weird, like Spider-Man, Elsa, impregnation, weird, like sexual content. And I remember seeing that and almost like throwing up. and that kind of thing will thrive on a YouTube that doesn't have dislikes.
Oh, exactly. Well, and we were talking before about like people using the internet too much to raise their kids. Like that was a big problem was, you'd be letting your kids sit on the kids app for 12 hours and that's what they're watching. And that's like warping their mind, literally. I mean, like that's like some of the first things that they're seeing as a toddler is, exactly. Like these like colorful characters doing awful things to each other. And that's what they're like looking up to, that's a big problem with it too.
Pretty messed up stuff.
The state of the world, dude. And Russia is about to invade Ukraine.
Yeah, I have heard a little bit about that, but that's kind of...
Oh, man. Oh, God. And then, I don't know if I want to get into it, but I don't know. It's funny, though. It's also scary, though, because obviously Russia is a mega power, and the U.S., probably doesn't want to get involved with that unless we absolutely need Ukraine. And we don't really need Ukraine. We don't have much trading over there. We don't have oil or anything. So I don't know.
About the oil.
It's always the oil, man. America loves its oil. Unless it's in a pipeline, in which case they just fucking take it down.
Yeah, unless it's coming from our own country, then that'd be ridiculous if American citizens.
Of course, that's ridiculous. We need the elites benefiting off foreign conflict, right?
We'll just make Dubai like a super center, and then we'll just we'll source everything in. Screw it. Yeah. That is funny to think about, like, cause I mean, oil, it's just crazy. Like, I mean, we kept like, a pretty horrible person in power just to protect our oil interests before. So, yeah. But is there anything else on Storyfire you wanted to hit on specifically? I don't want to not give you a chance to talk about everything, but
you know what? To end this off, I would kind of like to shout out a platform I just found recently. I've heard about it before, but it's smeared as a neo-Nazi kind of white supremacist platform. And, there's a bunch of crap on there and whatever. And then I look into it. It's called gab.com. So gab.com. And you look at it and it's like, okay, sure. because it's a free speech platform, and yes, it's literally a free speech platform. That's what people don't understand. Getter, that also is also an alternative platform that claims to be pro free speech, but the truth is they're not. They have the same kind of TOS and rules that, for instance, Twitter does, and they ban Nick Fuentes and all of these other people. But Gab doesn't ban anyone unless they post illegal content. Yeah, I believe that's it, because everything's protected under the First Amendment on their platform. If you look at their TOS, it references the First Amendment over and over again. So if you want to go back to the old Wild West of the internet, I don't know if anyone remembers that, but there was a time where you could just post whatever you wanted. You could have fun, when iDubbbz could, post these crazy videos. Now he's gone corporate, which is a shame, but
yeah,
he's interesting.
But gab.com has categories where you can look at different things. So there's food groups, there's astrology groups, there's just different topics. Hell, you guys could make a nitro racing group chat. And we actually did this with Storyfire. So I recently announced that we were starting a Storyfire forum, or at least I was, and the point of it was to discuss things off of Storyfire so that we wouldn't get censored, banned, because unfortunately Storyfire is heading in a direction where that's kind of where we are. But yeah, we have a community on there, not a very big one, about 17 people, but it's all right.
I mean, I'm surprised that, because I saw your post and everything, because you actually DM'd me about it, right? I'm surprised, some people were like, oh, no, I'm not getting Gab and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I think the reason behind that is, I don't know the reason behind that, because a lot of people argue and they say, Twitter's a shithole, right? They argue that all of these platforms suck, but then they don't have the balls to jump onto another platform just because they're labeled neo-Nazis by the media. I think we all know by now that neo-Nazi, white supremacists, racism, these are all words that are meant to scare people. It's not always the truth. And if you just looked into it, you would know that. There are Nazis on there, right? But they're not taking over the platform. Just like on Twitter, there are a bunch of, it wouldn't be the same thing, because I think Nazis are a strong minority. They're
Twitter,
such a small minority.
They have maps on Twitter though, so
exactly. That's another thing actually. That's the perfect example. They have maps on there, and yet Twitter isn't labeled the map pornography crazy fest that Gab is. And I think if people just gave these alternative platforms a chance, not Getter, don't go to Getter. They pretend to be pro free speech and they pretend to give a damn, but what they're doing is they see an opportunity in the market, and they're saying, there's a bunch of disenfranchised young people that feel like they have been oppressed online, and how about we just pick up that market? And what they are is they're exactly from where Twitter is. It's Silicon Valley bullshit. It's the same thing, but with Gab.com, it's entirely different. And don't take my word for it. Take Andrew Torba's word for it. He's the creator of Gab.com. He's been featured on a bunch of different podcasts. You can look it up. Anyways, I don't want to drag this on too long, but yeah, go check it out. Join the Storyfire group if you're interested. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'll be posting on Gab as well, because I recently got it too.
Oh, did you get
somewhere you can post? Okay.
Yeah, it's like Twitter, but different.
I gotcha. But and just for closing out, as far as people saying, because of certain groups on there that's all that is for or whatever, the problem with if you're going to have a true free speech app, you have to allow everybody who
Everybody,
is
yeah.
saying something that's not, like even like groups that you don't agree with, that's part of free speech is you allow them to speak as well. And that is exactly it. Like the fact that they are willing to let even extreme people talk on there is, to me at least, a sign that they truly are about the free speech and they're not about like, it sounds like this other website, they more just want to be what people in a certain group imagine free speech is like, which is them being allowed to say what they want and groups they don't agree with not being able to say what they want. So yeah, I mean, I definitely am all for a site that's truly about allowing everyone with a voice to share it. And yeah, I mean, I'm really glad we got the chance to talk with you on here as well, because I know people who follow us have never really gotten necessarily the chance to delve into Storyfire or hear about these things before. So I hope
Yeah,
all you
man.
guys at home watching this really enjoyed the podcast. And yeah, thanks for being on, man. I really appreciate your time.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for coming by.
Oh yeah, let us know how you guys how you guys liked the episode down in the comments below. And this is our first official one, so if you guys did enjoy it and you want to see other guests outside the community get featured as well, let us know about that. And if you want the video to do just a little bit better in the algorithm, hey, maybe you can drop a like on it, maybe even share it with a friend who might also enjoy. But I think that's truly it for this conversation, guys. I think
Oh,
we're good here, right?
yeah.
Unless you had something else to say.
Yeah, man.
All of Rusty's social media will be linked down in the pinned comment, by the way, if you guys want to
Yeah,
check
we'll
it
have
out.
that
Especially
in the pinned
TikTok.
comment.
Especially TikTok.
Put that first. Yeah, there you go,
That's my
man.
main platform.
All right, all right.
I got you, bro. All right. Peace out, guys.
All right. See you guys.
Boy.